This video will provide a demonstration of the mPINC 10 Steps Assessment Tool. The mPINC 10 Steps Assessment Tool helps to assess a hospital's implementation of each of the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding, often and simply as the 10 steps, using data from CDC's Maternity Practices in Infant Nutrition and Care Survey, or mPINC survey. This video will demonstrate how to identify hospital responses to mPINC survey items to enter into the mPINC 10 Steps Assessment Tool. This video and tool are intended for state and local health departments, hospitals, breastfeeding coalitions, and institutions and organizations working with hospitals on quality improvement in maternity care. If you are unfamiliar with the tool, be sure to also watch our mPINC 10 Steps Assessment Tool overview video to learn more about the tool's purpose and how to use findings from the tool. mPINC data, or hospital responses to mPINC survey items, can be found in three different sources. One option is to pull data from an mPINC hospital report. These reports are sent to hospitals after they complete an mPINC survey and are only released to authorized hospital staff. Alternatively, if a hospital has not completed an mPINC survey recently but still wishes to use the assessment tool, a blank mPINC survey instrument can be downloaded from the CDC website and completed by hospital staff. Data collected from this questionnaire can then be used to complete the assessment. Another option is to pull data from an mPINC dataset that can be requested from CDC by state health departments. For questions related to mPINC data, please email us at mpinc@cdc.gov. There are two options for entering data into the tool. One option is to manually enter data into the PDF version of the tool. Another option is to use the fillable Excel version of the tool. Both of these options are available to download from our website. We will now demonstrate how to identify data from an mPINC hospital report to enter into the fillable Excel version of the mPINC 10 Steps Assessment Tool. We will be using a fictional hospital for this demonstration. Please note that while we will be demonstrating using the tool with a 2020 mPINC hospital report, the mPINC 10 Steps Assessment Tool can be used with mPINC hospital reports and data from 2018 onwards. We will focus on identifying and entering data for Step 1. Let's look at the first competency for Step 1, which assesses a hospital's acquisition of infant formula. To begin, we will first need to identify where in the mPINC hospital report we would find the hospital's response to the acquisition of infant formula survey item. This information can be found in the mPINC item column and the mPINC domain column. For example, to identify our fictional hospital's response for the acquisition of infant formula survey item from the hospital's mPINC hospital report, we will find which mPINC domain that this competency corresponds to. In this case, the competency is found in the institutional management domain. We would then locate that section in the mPINC hospital report. Next, we will look to see which mPINC item this competency corresponds to. In this case, the item indicates how your hospital acquires infant formula. We will look within the institutional management domain section of the hospital report and find the explanation that matches the corresponding mPINC item. Next, we will move within that row to the answer within the Your Response column. As you can see, our fictional hospital answered pays fair market price for this mPINC item. To enter the identified data into the mPINC 10 Steps Assessment Tool, we will move to the Hospital Response column and click on the drop-down button. We will choose the corresponding hospital response determined from the mPINC hospital report. In this case, our fictional hospital's response was pays fair market price. Please note that some items will not have a drop-down box here. If no drop-down box is present, you'll need to enter a numerical response for that item. Once we enter data in the hospital response column, the information in the next column, did the hospital select the ideal response, will populate. This information will allow us to determine whether the hospital chose the ideal response for that competency. Please note that the final column, did the hospital select the ideal response, will already be filled in with either a yes or no by default. This column will populate to reflect the hospital's alignment with the ideal response once the hospital's response is entered into the previous column. We would continue identifying and entering data for each competency within each step to complete the assessment. Once the assessment tool has been completed, results can be used to help assess a hospital's implementation of each of the 10 steps. To assess a hospital's alignment with the 10 steps, look to see if the hospital was in alignment with the competencies of each step. Competencies that were in alignment will be noted with a yes in the final column. Competencies that were not in alignment will be noted with a no in the final column. Hospitals might wish to take a closer look at the competencies and steps that are not in alignment with the 10 steps to see where they might consider improvements. Finally, please note that this tool does not correspond to or replace Baby Friendly USA's on-site assessments or Baby Friendly designation. For any questions or comments on this tool, please contact us at mpinc@cdc.gov.